Okay. In 1991 on Lookout Records originally. Later it was on another label, and then it came out third press on Alternative Tentacles. We get Blatz and Filth, the shit split. Blatz was a punk rock band from Berkeley in the late 80s all the way through like the early 90s. They didn't last a long time. But they were very much a Berkeley sounding punk band. They had a male and female singer, which I think is pretty cool. I also heard Billy Joe Armstrong play guitar with them for a short while. I don't know if that's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the Blatt's got a very shrill female on part of the vocals, man. Very flip floppy on the vocals on that. Sometimes I really like it, sometimes I don't. When I was younger, though, I absolutely loved it, man. I watched some live footage. Might have been yesterday or today. I can't remember. I think it was today from '91
Mm-hmm.
in prep for this video. And I really think that they were a band that was better suited for a live performance. The
They're definitely more art than music. They definitely are
right.
on that spectrum. Yeah.
You talk about Blatz, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that they were the kind of band that if you see them live, then no matter what the recordings sound like, you're going to like it a lot. And I'll repeat myself from earlier. I'm from Houston. I didn't have access to this stuff when I was a kid. When I got a hold of this one, I was probably almost 20 already when I got a hold of this album. Her vocals on Cheaper Than Beer, the Cheaper Than Beer 7-inch, excuse me, which is part of this split. That's the stuff I don't actually like. After that,
Mm-hmm.
I like her vocals a lot more, and I think it's more or less the recording on that than it is the actual vocal styling. Her vocals are way up front; they're way loud on the actual mix. So I do want to make a point to say I don't actually think it's her vocals I have a problem with. I think it's the mix on that specific part of the album, and it sucks too because it's the very first part of it. So if you get out a record and you put it on side A, track one, play, then I may not make it to track two or three.
Mm-hmm.
It's really loud, very shrill, very like chalkboardy, dude. Nails and oh, even saying that makes me just kind of oh man. But the lyrics and the message from Blatz are on point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, listening to this is like a time capsule, like right into the late '80s and early '90s, man. It's a sound that I still look for with modern bands. I never really seem to find it, but I do look for it. That's what makes it special, in my opinion. You know?
For me, like when I heard this sound, it reminded me of like going to like the Warp Tour back in the day and picking up some random CD for like $2 for some
Yeah.
like some girl group that I'd never heard of, and then putting it in and thinking it was pretty awesome. Never actually the band never would do anything or anything like that, but it had that sort of spirit to it,
Yep.
and it endlessly does. You talked about who it was made up of. There's two females that are actually a part of the
Oh,
band.
okay. I thought it was just one.
Yeah, one she's actually this like famous like academic now and all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Uh,
That's
uh,
cool.
an activist and all that. And then you also have
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Eggplant, who is the guitarist. Eggplant is this like legendary singster from the East Bay. Like there's all the
Okay.
stories before this, and Blatz is part of this too. Of like Eggplant is just the guy that's at every show that like people didn't know. Like, does the guy go to school? Does he do it? Like he's
That's
just that
awesome.
he was that punk kid in town, and was also like in the know in terms of on the zines, on all the business side of things. He was just kind of
I've
one of those
actually heard
guys.
the name.
So yeah, Robert Eggplant, I forget what his last name is, and and uh and so it's this kind of collection of friends to throw together this band that I don't know that they necessarily had any intent with in the first place, other than just kind of to do their thing. You talked about their live shows. Their live shows are kind of the stuff of legend of Blot. So they have these crazy live shows. They're naked part of some of their shows. Like it's just
That's
like
awesome.
like Davey Havoc said, like a Blatz show is just absolute chaos. He said everything you could ever want all at once, every excess is just kind of right in front of you. And
Did
that's
they
it's like this.
cover an
Yeah,
AFI song?
AFI covers some of their stuff. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
AFI covers their song. Duh. I
Yes.
should have known better than that. That was a stupid thing for me to say.
Yeah. And so like but it's funny to me because I think of like a young like Davey Havoc hanging out at Gilman, hanging out in the East Bay, and just seeing like the Blatz is just the craziest thing that you could possibly
100%.
and think about like we talk about all this other East Bay stuff. It kind of has a real wholesome kind of nature to it. A lot of the other East Bay stuff that we talk about, it's very like kid friendly. And then you get into Blatz, which Blatz is very much a like a rated R, or I'd say like a
Oh, dude.
like an adult themed kind of band. The song, even though they sound like Ritalin-fueled teenagers, is sort of the sound, and I think that's by intent. The message, as you're saying, is very on point, very heavy. There's a lot of intensity in these songs, even with that high shrill voice.
Oh,
But
well, that's part of the reason for the intensity, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
but if you
We're
get
not,
past
yeah,
no, it's sort of how that intensity is being expressed. If you get past that, though, there's good melody here. These songs are actually fairly catchy, and you can feel a lot of other punk rock in these, either punk rock that came later or punk rock that came before it. Again, I think if you can get past some of the parts like you're saying with the vocal style and stuff like that, it does become very listenable if you listen to the right versions, because there's a few different versions of these same songs.
yes, I do think that the version of the song you get is very important with this band. I think that one of the things that I was, I guess, pondering as I was listening to this was, I guess pondering is the wrong word. I wasn't really questioning it. I was more or less just thinking, oh, if
Reflecting, yeah.
yeah, this sounds like a further down the line of progress or evolution of what X-Ray Specs was doing.
Hmm.
More chaotic. I like X-Ray Spec. What is her name? God damn it,
Polystyrene.
Polystyrene. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I really like her vocals a lot. Like she would be top one or two female vocalists for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see where somebody like this would hear that and then go do this, and it would be a direct descendant of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I hadn't listened to Blatz much over the years because of the shrill nature in the vocals, and specifically with this. I think this was a CD, and then I think it was a double disc CD even.
Mm-hmm.
I never even listened to it because I'd put it on and get through one or two songs and just be like, I can't do it with her. And so I was like probably in my 30s before I listened to the whole thing. Well, the whole Blatt side,
Mm-hmm.
and realized that, oh, it's the recording. This is the issue. So when I got back to it this time, I knew that, and I still had a hard time getting through the first few
Mm-hmm.
songs. Man, I was like, golly, this is bad. The mix is so horrible. But
It's
some
hard to
people
get
probably
into
love it, I bet.
initially. I had the same experience just going into and I listened to it a few times over the years. I'm generally familiar with them, but it was hard to sit down and like it's like a movie. Like there's like good movies, but you have to like turn the lights off, be full, all those things to really enjoy some of
Right.
those movies. I kind of felt like there was a similar sensation with this at first, where I was like, I remember I would listen to these songs as I was just driving around the last couple of weeks, and then I immediately flipped back to the Bad Religion playlist I was listening to, because that felt so much more weighty and meaningful then. And so it took a little bit to sort of earworm this into me, and then it became something that I was playing a few extra times, just because, like, oh yeah, I do like that. It is fun. It is. I feel like if you want to bring the fun of a punk show onto a recording, I think Blatz kind of does that. That they sort of capture a being in the room kind of environment, and that's what you hear at a lot of these songs.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong about that. I don't know that I would say that Bad Religion's any more, what was the word you used?
Weighty is.
Weighty than this, because I think it's just a subjective
Mm,
thing. I'm not saying you're wrong either. I think for me, I think that the weight of the lyrics in this are just as heavy as they would be for Bad Religion. But I can see where you're coming from. So I'm not trying to say that
mm.
you're wrong. Yeah, I don't quite get to that point with the Black stuff. I like it okay, but you know, I mean, the fuck shit up is pretty great. Homemade Speed's a great song. Dolly, I don't care about you. The second version of fuck shit up's even better in my opinion.
Mm.
But I could really kind of take it or leave it. I don't really need it. I don't care about it as much as I do Filth. I probably would never even listen to this if it wasn't for Filth. Um, yeah, I don't want to bag on it though. I like, it's really just that first part drives me nuts. Like, who decided to put that as the first part? It really bothers me because I'm like, I look at it from a consumer's
I
point of
don't know
view.
that portion that's on streaming though was always on every release of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it may not be.
I want to say there was some shorter versions. I want to say the streaming version is is a little bit bigger than maybe what the original release, but because it's been released a few times too. So
Yes,
there, so that
I'm
I
super
may be wrong
irritated.
about that.
I've got a copy of this at my shop, and I meant to bring it home, and I forgot it sitting on my desk,
Mm,
or my countertop rather, not my desk, my counter at the shop. Uh, the I'm pretty sure it's laid out the same.
Is it? And
Yeah,
again, I
I'm
could be
actually
wrong about
trying.
that.
I think because it's a double disc, it's double on both. It's double
Mm,
LP and it's a double CD. So I'm pretty sure. I just again, I'm probably in the minority here. I'm certain there are people, probably a fair amount of them, that like the way that sounds. It's just a piercing noise that I don't really care for. I mean,
mm,
we'll use Nitty as an example. He likes really noisy, chaotic music. Like that is enjoyable to him.
mm,
And it's literally just where we start to part ways. And I'm like, I
mm,
can't. I like the guitar riff that you're hearing, man, but whatever they're putting on top of that shit is killing my ears. And he's like, no, that's what I like about it. So I'm likely going to be in the minority of this. I don't mean to talk any disrespect. I'm not trying to be rude. I liked it overall. And, my only point is if it was just the Blatz EP or something, I don't know how much I'd love it. But since it's connected to something that I do really enjoy, which is Filth, we'll get into that in just a minute here.
mm.
Uh, you know, it is what it is. I just like it because of that. But it's a very, very famous and popular and important split LP.
Yeah, and I really think that but I forgot the point I was just gonna make.
There we go. I've done that. I do that so often,
I
dude.
had something really loaded, and as soon as I looked up, I could see it in my brain when I went blank.
That's funny,
I,
bro.
I honestly don't know what I was gonna say there. Um, I do enjoy
Oh,
I do enjoy the lyrics of some of these songs, and I say that unironically though.
oh no, the lyrics on them are great. I my issues with it are very minimal in number, but important because of what they do.
Mm,
But there's a lot to like about this, even with my complaints. So
mm.
I do want to reiterate that. I want to make sure people understand that I'm not talking shit. I like it. I just may not like it as much as everybody else. Today's lesson. Uh, that's the AFI song. Or that's this, golly, dude.
That's
That's the song
one that
AFI covered.
if I
Excuse
covered,
me.
yeah.
Let's see. What is that one? Where's that at? Let's see. Anyways, bro, my brain is fried right now. So let's pull up some information on Filth because Filth is a band that I've always enjoyed but know very little about. I love their logo and I love dude's vocals. Like the
Mm,
vocals are what really it's like it's like this. Okay, so there's a band called Contact. They're the first cassette tape that I released that was punk was this band called Contact, and the whole entire reason that I liked them and put out a record is because they sounded like Filth. The vocals sounded like it and everything, and I was like, I can't believe this dude sounds like Filth. And I don't know a lot about Filth because I'm not from the area, and I just never dove into it. But man, the shit split got a lot of attention from my group of friends because of Filth. Like everybody that I was friends with, they liked Filth. We didn't really care
mm.
about Blatz as much, and I don't remember. I don't even remember seeing anybody with like Blatz gear. I was all Filth patches, Filth shirts. Like they got real big down here in Texas, dude. Like real big.
Mhm. I do think of Blatz is less of a real band, if that makes
Oh, okay,
sense.
maybe.
And I think that has something you know what I mean. And again, they release music, they recorded, they played shows. They are a real band. But again, I think of them
Mhm.
more as that performance art, more so. And I think of Filth as a much more straightforward group. In that way,
Yeah,
Filth is a little bit older in terms of what I think where they came within the scene. I think they came out of, and I might have this wrong. They came out of the ashes of Isocracy, but Isocracy is a completely different sounding band than
right.
Filth. You know,
Yeah,
Isocracy would be more similar to Blatz, to be honest with you. They're more they're
yeah,
more they're more
yeah.
of a jokey, silly band, and this was their version of putting the metallic sounds and the hardcore and doing that into the East Bay sound. I would say it's still very much an East Bay sound though, because the guitar specifically, I think the guitar it has a like a melodic. I don't know. The sound isn't necessarily poppy, but what the way that the songs are structured have a little bit of melody to them in this very hardcore environment, which I think makes it kind of uniquely East Bay in the way that it sound.
Well,
I think there's like an East Bay guitar there, something that I'm hearing that sounds like a lot of this other poppier East Bay stuff.
well, it's because that's where they're from.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't get away from that. If that's where you're from and you're hanging out with those people and you're writing songs, you may have the crusty, hardcore, like crusty, whatever version of that,
Hmm.
but it's still a version of that. So you're going to have these amazing, like screechy, is what I call them, screechy vocals over like this almost like tinny hardcore guitar with a dash of poppy in there. Like it is a lot of sounds mixed in. There's
Mhm,
not a lot of bands that sound like any of this stuff that we're talking about today. I don't
mhm,
know. I don't know any other bands that remind me of Grimple. Really, I don't know any other bands that really remind me of Filth until I heard that band Contact, and like it's interesting. It's real interesting to have a band that sounds like this. But I mean, on this album, dude, every single Filth song is one that I was like, oh, I like that song. Oh, I like that
mhm.
song. Oh, I like that song. And some of it's live. I don't really, or not. Excuse me. Oh, God, dude, I can't talk today. Um, actually, I never really watched any live footage of Filth. I don't know what that would have been like. I imagine it'd be fun.
Yeah, I
Um,
want to say I've seen clips here and there, but I can't think I've ever sat down and watched like a full song or a set. And I think it's not quite the performance art that something like Blotz is. It's more straightforward,
no, it's more.
um,
It's got more
hardcore.
like, yeah, it's got. I see here on the internet it says somebody calls it crustcore. I really hate that term, but it also fits kind of well
Hmm.
because I can hear both influences: hardcore, like early, like actual early American hardcore, and then like
Hmm.
crust punk.
Hmm.
But I would consider it more of a like a crust punk band than I would anything else.
And it's funny because this split probably seems odd to people in terms of like these two bands being
Oh, it's
together.
incredibly odd.
This split was just another outgrowth of these two bands were just always together. And again, because you're made up of these old school scenesters who are probably all like best friends or
Right.
connected or in other bands. I think there's a few guys that were in both Blatz and Filth at different times. That definitely there was a through line, and they people a lot of times will cite Blatz and Filth and their partnership as why we can't really say that the East Bay is a sound or a genre. It's more of a scene because you have a lot of these different bands that like Blatz and Filth would tour and play shows together all the time. And you think about what like their songs are completely different styles of songs and all that. And people would talk about, all these other scenes have their really strict, like these bands play together, these bands play together. This comes from this part of the country, this comes from this. And the East Bay, especially in this time period, where it's a lot of collection of again younger misfit kids, but also like people coming from other places and applying their craft and all this stuff that they're doing over there. That it was not odd, especially at a Gilman Street or anywhere else, to just have these weird bills. And people credit Filth and Blatz was sort of setting that stage of as long as they were from the East Bay, as long as maybe they were lookout bands or they have some connection, yeah, they can tour together, they can be together, and they're kind of in the same vein. And I think it probably did help a lot of these younger punkers that we started listening to later on when they're coming up and they're listening to so much stuff that's not necessarily, it's before the internet really opened stuff up, but stuff that's not necessarily so siloed. And you have a lot of this stuff starting to mix together. But the way of mixing it together, in the early 90s is not by just going on a playlist and looking for everything. You literally have to mix it together and tour together and present your stuff together on splits and the such.
Yeah, I don't think that they were that different outside of like the sonic noises that you get out of each band. I think when you get below that or past that, however you want to word it, I think that Filth and Blatz are very similar bands. I think that their ideologies are the same, their lyrics are the same. Like what they feel is important within society is probably very much aligned.
Mm,
Um, but pointing out that Blatz is more of like a performance project than a full fledged band makes so much sense to me once I even because I watched a couple of the videos, but even that it even made sense in that aspect. And I
mhm.
was like, oh, okay, I can see that. So I don't know how much they toured, how much stuff they put out, but this album is incredibly sought after. I know every time I have a copy, people freak out and want to come pick it
It
up.
it's but again, like go on the internet and like throw this one into Reddit, and people loved, people who remember from their, when they were teenagers skateboarding, listening to this split. Like it's one of those things that has really just imprinted, one of those things that doesn't have wide circulation, but it resonated with people.
I never thought about doing this until right this second, but I think I might start dropping a little picture on Reddit and going, "Hey, I'm going to cover this on my podcast. What do y'all know about it?" And just seeing what the community says.
Mm.
Like, who knows? It'll probably be a lot of repeating, but I don't know.
You came up on Reddit, dude. I forgot what it was that there was a reference to your channel or something. I was playing with AI and I was asking it questions about all of us.
I mean,
And I looked for sources, and one of the sources for you was on Reddit for
what was it? Was it in reference to Lil Peep being better than black metal?
no, it was a punk rock reference. It was from it was
Probably somebody hating me.
no, it was actually, it said something about your enthusiasm or did you check out this guy's enthusiasm for this or something like
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
It says
Well,
you and I are known for our chemistry and banter back and forth, is what the AI told me
well, at
about.
least it wasn't shitting on me because that happens a lot on Reddit. People don't like me much, which I find odd that they watch it all the time if they hate me so much. Like,
That is a weird thing to do with YouTube specific. Like, there's a lot. I understand. Like, if there's a sports team that you don't like, but they're your team. Like, they're in a bad run, and you're forcing yourself to watch them because you support them. If you don't like your YouTube channel, just watch the video right underneath. Right, that would seem to make a lot more sense.
there's all kinds of channels you can watch. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I really enjoy Filth's vocals. I one thing that I have thought for years and years and years is that it would have made so much more sense to have a Grimple and Filth split. Like, I have definitely made that split on cassette tapes. Like, I was like, well, I like this better. I'll just put these together.
So, so you've made the split. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, dude. Like, Logical Nonsense is a good band. Blatz is a good band, but like neither of those two bands, I think, even are remotely as good as the other two. As far as like, and I'm being kind of, I guess it's kind of a shitty thing to say. I don't mean to be like shitty about it, but I mean, on any given day, if I was to go pick out of those four bands what to listen to, I don't know that the Blatz and Logical Nonsense are ever going to get any airplay. Like, they're just going to sit there and collect dust, and they're not bad bands. I guess that's what it is. They're not bad. They're just not. They're not as important to me.
Mhm.
But I feel kind of like I regret saying it like that, man. I wasn't trying to be an asshole. I just, dude, I don't know, man. This is a tough subject to tackle because I don't know a lot about it, and it's people have this weird thing where they're like, well, you can't make a video unless you know a lot about something. And I'm like, what in the fuck sense does that make, man? We're just, and I guess I'm kind of in my own head about it because I've had a lot of weird shit said to me in the comments in the last couple of weeks. But also, some of that's probably because the channels are just getting bigger. So I got a lot more people watching it that don't know me yet. So,
Well,
yeah.
and something this split, the early '90s version that came out with, it was the first split ever on Lookout, which is a really big deal because obviously Lookout's a very important label down there, but it's early on in the punk split tradition of where this one sort of holds part of that weight, and then after this one did really well, and Lookout started putting it started making sense to Lookout to package bands together and do splits, but this was kind of the proof of concept.
I didn't know
At
that. I
first,
didn't
yeah,
know
this was the
Lookout put
first
out
one.
other splits.
Yeah, this was the first one that they ever put out. And then they put out I want to say they put out the Can of Pork compilation right after this that has some of these songs on it. So it's really it's that like first wave of Lookout when they're starting to just branch and put out all kinds of stuff and start building these compilations. Again, it's all kind of pre Green Day ish. It's all in that time period before they really took off as a label.
What other splits did Lookout do?
Uh, I don't know.
Anything that I would know?
I can Google it.
Don't use Google. That's not what we're doing now, Rob. I use Google like the whole time we've been talking today.
Well, I just told you I used AI to find information about us. So
That's wild, bro. I've
that's
never
a fun
used it.
that's a fun Friday night to just talk to AI about yourself. I'm telling you.
Dude, I've never used AI once. I don't know that I ever will unless well, okay. I've never used AI like that. I'm sure I've used AI to some degree, but like I've never sat down and been like, I'm going to use AI for something. It weirds me out.
Um. Okay. There's the Potato Men split with the Potato Man, that was Larry Livermore's actual band, who was also kind of a joke band. They were like an acoustic band that liked to play outside of the shows. They would play outside, and then like they felt they sold out by going inside. It was a whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Everything comes up with the shit split. But I'm. Oh wait, no. There's 5 records. Someone has a Reddit post about it. Your favorite place.
Shocked.
No. Okay. Never mind. These are not Lookout. These are just splits that people like. Never mind.
Okay. I was like, man, I don't recall ever hearing much about Lookout splits, and you'd think that would have gotten a lot of attention.
But I want to say there is a few, but I might be conflating that with some of the Lookout like comps. And so I may be but I do know this was their first split. That
I can tell you that comps, all they are is like 20 band splits.
That's I like it. I like when Fat Records put out 100 band split. I like that.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. 100 band split, man. You should see the gatefold on that thing. It just keeps going and going and going. Everybody got their own cover art.
There's a lot of politics involved in the production of that one.
Right. So how do you feel about the shit split in its entirety? Like if you had to grade that one, how would you grade it?
I would put it a little bit higher than the last one, just because I think I like more of I like more of both bands on this one. Not, and again, we're kind of also shitting on logical nonsense by proxy there by saying that, but I find myself being more attracted. I find myself more attracted generally to this split than to the Grimple split, just in general.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it still hits that sort of 7 out of 10 ceiling. I think
I was gonna say I give
it's
it the
hard to.
exact same grade.
Yeah, it's exact same grade, but in the little section, if there was a comment section, I would have a lot of different comments and criteria for for this than I would for the other one, because the other one I think felt a little more straightforward, like just stuff I like about it, stuff I don't like about it. This one's a lot more complicated of a release, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoy. I hate whenever there's a situation like this where I don't love the whole thing. That really sucks because that's part of the beauty of having like cassette tapes and stuff. Though back when I was a kid, when you're young, a split like this is perfect because all you got to do, or not when you're young, back in the day, back in the '90s specifically, you could just take 2 or 3 albums worth of splits and pick out all the songs you really like, and you make a mixtape with all that, and you don't ever touch the album again. It's just, although the only downside to that is you don't get time with the rest of the songs, so people
Mhm.
start referencing the other songs, and you don't have any clue what they're talking about. But it's just all like personal preference on how you consume the music you like, and I don't think there's anything wrong with liking all of it. I don't think there's anything wrong with liking a little bit of it. You like what you like, and I think it's a very personal experience.
They're probably a weird concept to younger kids now, like a split, because like what would
Oh
be the
yeah,
point of a
probably, huh?
split really nowadays
Nah.
in the same kind of sense? But like for me, I remember we always talk about like the Rancid No Effect split, the Bouncing Souls Anti Flag split, the Alkaline Trio One Man Army split. That felt like
Hot
value
water
to me.
music, Leatherface. Ooh.
You're getting tons of like you're getting the price of what it was one CD, or usually these would be less too. They would be a little bit cheaper, and you're getting two bands on there, and you're getting five or
Dude,
six songs or whatever it is. That feels like a good deal.
you know what's funny? My next release, I'm waiting on it right now, is
Mm.
actually a split.
Oh, wow. You're bringing it back, yeah.
Yeah, it's Generation Exit and Mark Lind and the
Mm.
Unloved. You know Mark Lind?
No.
Ducky Boys?
Okay.
Oh, bro, legend, man. Shout out Mark Lind. That guy's fucking awesome. Uh,
I like that you're bringing
but
the splits back. I
I
like
know,
that.
right?
That's the whole point of this episode, folks, was just to promote the split.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to tell everybody that, but I was going to slowly, slip it in at an hour and 2 minutes.
You're gonna really start defending splits like midway. Splits are the most important thing. When a band does a split, it means that, and then you end it like that. That's how you got to do it.
100%, dude. Man, what do you want to cover next couple weeks, dude? Actually,
Um.
yeah. Oh, let's pick a couple bands for punk rock bowling.
Okay. You know the
Let's
lineup
see.
much better than I do.
I do. Let me pull it up real fast though, and I'll throw a couple things at you, and we'll see what sticks. But yeah, man. Other than that, I appreciate everybody listening to us talk about these split records. If you have information that we missed, or maybe you made a mistake on, or just whatever, got something to add to it, please let us know, man. I do enjoy the comment section quite a bit. I like listening to people's stories, and dude, some people have knowledge that just blows my mind. I'm like, dude, why don't you make a damn channel? I listen to a lot of shit you say, man. Like, there's a lot of people out there like, hey, look, I'm talking to you. You know who you are. I have a lot of respect for people that help me along the way with this stuff, but some people just don't want to make the videos. I get it. It's a lot of work,
It's a
and
lot of
you
work.
you also face a lot of public scrutiny. I get shit on for the weirdest reasons, dude. Like I don't even understand it, man. I'm like, okay, I guess, man. I'm a big piece of shit. My bad. All I did was try to tell you this band was rad. Like, okay. Uh, let's go with a couple classics, dude.
Okay.
What about? Because I'm not gonna talk to you again until after PRB, I would think, right?
It's
Because
this weekend.
it's
Yeah.
not this weekend. It's next weekend.
But yeah,
But I'll but
that'll
I'll be
that'll be on
gone. I'll be gone Friday through Tuesday, so it'll
the
probably be a couple weeks before we talk again.
okay. So
So what if we do? How do you feel about doing the Damned? Fuck, God, I fucking talk about Coxbar, dude. I love that band so much. What about the Damned and Coxbar?
okay.
Let's do. What Coxbar album do you want to do? I mean, Shock Troops is like that's the one. That's the
Um,
one. That's their most famous record.
we'll go with that.
Okay, and then want to do Damn Damn Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so excited to bring in the Damned canon onto our podcast.
Well, up until recently, I wasn't even a fan of this band, and I wouldn't even call myself like an uber fan at this point. But I got a lot more respect than I used to, and I enjoy a lot more of it than I used to. So I'm excited to see them play, and I want to talk about it. So I'll have like a scene report after the show, and we'll talk about those two albums. It'll be a fun thing for me to listen to while I'm
So
out doing my thing.
the Damned is actually playing punk rock bowling. Like,
Yeah, bro, they're
oh shit,
headlining Coxbar, The Damned, Peter Light and the Hook, and Social Distortion.
nice. That's not a terrible
Dude, I know, right? Like,
headlining group, for a
well,
punk
that's
rock
what I was
band.
thinking. I was like, man, I never was a big fan of the Damned until recently, and then I get to go see them. I was like, I feel really lucky, dude. Like, I genuinely feel like very grateful for this opportunity.
Mhm.
Let's see.
We're doing shock troops, right?
Yeah. So you'll be, I think, out of school by this point. Um, do you have a day that you might want to do this on?
Let me look at the calendar here.
Because I'll be back on. I'll be back on the 27th. So anytime after that, I'm pretty much open.
Um, so the following week, let's shoot for that week of the second through the sixth.
Oh, even longer. Okay, that's like a few weeks from now. Okay. So what's the date today? It's the 12th. So we're gonna go like, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll just because I know I'm fairly positive my schedule's like really clear there. If there's something where that week looks bad, we'll try to fit it into that week that you come
I'll
back.
just hit you up when I'm coming home,
yeah,
and you can just tell me, hey, let's wait till next week or whatever.
because end of the year is a little funky for me where it can be where I'm super available or I'm super busy and I don't.
Sure.
All
Yeah.
my stuff's kind of up in the air right now, so it's a little
Cool,
weird.
man. Yeah. Well, I'm flexible. It's all good. I'm excited about this trip, and yeah, hopefully we don't get roasted too hard in the comments on these two albums we talked about. I think we did an okay job.
I
The
don't
people
see the
that
comments. Bring it.
That's a very good point. You don't see the comments, you bastard.
All I do is I
Well,
look when I say, "Oh, cool, Rob's back," and then I just take that serotonin boost and I click off.
smart man. Oh man, hey, hang tight. I don't want to give this. I want to talk about something, but I don't want to do it on video. So thanks,
Okay.
guys. See y'all next time on the Punk Rock Review podcast.